I'm here at the harbor in Baltimore, Maryland, the city where I grew up in. This is the area where my father worked. It didn't look like this back then. There was a lot of back-breaking work as ships came in, and he had to be one of the ones responsible for unloading and loading them. But because my father was a kingdom man, he bore that responsibility. Even when there was no work and there was no provision, he still held on to his post, and he still maintained his leadership. That's because he was committed to Jesus Christ as his ruler and king, and he brought that home, and that transformed our whole family. Many in my community were not as fortunate as I was to have a dad like I had, who kept his plan, kept his post, maintained his responsibility, and still had time to make sure he was leading us to church on Sunday morning. That's because he was a kingdom man. So many men today are not like my dad, and it's much worse than it was when I was growing up, when we began to see this trend of fatherlessness begin to spiral out of control. We have over 1 million kids dropping out of school. That's over 1,700 children every day who are leaving high school. We're having crime increase and prison population increase. We're having gangs expand, all because dad is nowhere to be found. We need to resurrect a generation of men, but not just males, kingdom men. Men who live and operate under the authority of Jesus Christ and see aligned underneath them those who fall under the umbrella of their care, love, and protection. That's what I had, and that's what we ought to be providing, a generation that is desperately crying out for it. That's why we're seeking to get 2,000 churches, each one to adopt one public school, to provide mentoring, tutoring, and family support services, to provide, if you will, surrogate families, especially surrogate fathers, kingdom men, men who represent eternity and history, who represent tomorrow today, so that we can salvage a generation that is in desperate need of hope. I have the benefit of a kingdom father. Let this next generation have the same benefit as well.